Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update, and we're going to hear from Brad Garlinghouse 2 times in this particular video, along with Hester Peirce and Congressman Tom Emmer, all of them bringing very relevant insight. And you won't believe what Washington, D.C. is saying about Twitter. Yeah, you just won't believe it. Okay, Bitcoin looking a bit bearish. It's trying to move into the green, currently trading at 56,232. The market as a whole is mixed, but the majority is leaning into the red. We're going to take a look at the top 3 gainers by market cap, as I often do, to keep an eye on who is really moving in this space. On top is Sandbox, up 33%, trading at $5.33. This is a blockchain-based virtual world where the users create, build, buy, sell digital assets in the form of a game. So you know that this sector is just red hot right now. And what's unique about it is that it is a user-generated content creating a metaverse for the players. Very interesting. In the second position is AMP. It is up 22%, trading at 6 cents. It's a collateral token for smart contracts. And then there's Elrond. You know, this is really an interesting project because of what they just announced. It is up 16% on the 24-hour, trading at $538. This blockchain protocol, which does focus on smart contracts, can do 10,000 transactions per second and at a cost of 0.001 per transaction. There are 2 brothers that built this with scaling in mind as early as 2017. They are also veterans in the space and invested in Zilliqa, Tezos, Brave, Binance, but they had this big announcement, and that came out about their 1.2 billion USD Maiar DEX liquidity incentive program. It's really something because the returns for passive income are stunning. They are paying the incentives denominated in what is called MEX, and that is the governance token. There's just a lot of buzz right now because the yields are very, very high. Okay, Biden is nominating Jerome Powell for a second 4-year term. Maybe not so surprising. And then there is 59-year-old Lael Brainerd. She is nominated. She's been nominated as the Fed vice chair to help manage, well, what we see as a very uneven recovery at this point because of the jump of inflation. She has been a leading voice on financial innovation such as crypto, especially for the digital dollar. She's strong. She's really strong, like Hester. And the reason I say that is because she's not afraid to have a dissent, and that would be an official expression of opinion that differs from the main group or, you know, disagrees with the decision being made. So she's controversial, but I don't know. We just have to wait and see, right, what kind of impact she can have on this space. All right, today, Brad Garlinghouse was on CNBC and talked about the macro trend creating a tailwind for the crypto industry, and he's talking about global inflation. So let's have a listen to this. Just 47 seconds here, and let me make sure I've got the sound up. Okay, here we go. Have a listen. Yeah, it's interesting because he's talking about fiat devaluating, and more are looking to hold other assets that have a different dynamic. Okay, here we go.
Another macro trend that certainly people have talked about, and I think creates tailwinds for the crypto industry, is global inflation. Here at home in the United States, you're seeing inflation that we haven't seen for decades. And when people are concerned about holding a fiat currency that might be inflating and thus devaluing, they're looking at how can I hold other assets that won't have that same inflationary dynamics. So, look, I'm not here to predict exactly where the crypto markets will be next year, but I think if you step back and take a long view, a 5-year view, a 10-year view, these are real technologies that are fundamentally reworking how our financial infrastructure works. And I'm very bullish and very optimistic about what that longer term horizon looks like.
So he is not, bearish at all. He's bullish, and that on the long term, these crypto assets are really going to change the way we are bringing value to our financial services. And I couldn't agree with him more. Now listen to this. This is Hester Peirce, and she is on Layla Halpern's channel. Layla's been on my channel. I've been on her channel. She recently published her book, Undressing Bitcoin. And she spent about 20 minutes with the SEC commissioner. And again, I want to point out that Hester is not afraid to dissent. And she is one that did so with the ETF decision because it, again, was turned down. This is the spot ETF. And they did discuss that. And no one should expect any change soon, she says. Well, I don't know, explaining that all 5 commissioners really vary in their views. More people in Washington, though, are thinking about crypto. And here, when she's asked about the future, this is her answer. So have a listen.
From 1 year to 5 years from now, roughly, I know it's quite a long time, the regulatory framework to look like towards cryptocurrencies in the USA?
You know, it's so hard to look down the road even a year. I think this is going to be an important year for crypto regulation because there's been a lot of attention on it. 5 years down the road, it's hard to say. I mean, Congress may at some point get involved in this space. And certainly already there are a lot of people in Congress who have gotten involved. They've dropped bills about, with different potential approaches to regulating crypto. But if there were actually something that passed Congress, that would be monumental in directing how that regulation would work. I think what you're seeing right now is a lot of regulators are planting their flags by, for example, bringing enforcement actions. You hear a lot of statements coming from different regulators saying, we should have a piece of this regulatory space, but others saying, no, it should be ours. And so there's a lot of jockeying for position now, which I think we're going to see that continue in the coming years. And I think those enforcement efforts will play a role in allocating the regulatory pie. But there are.
Yeah, that's pretty much the portion I wanted to play back for you. What I found interesting is that when you hear about how it would be monumental if Congress could actually pass something, so to give them guidance, I get the feeling she doesn't believe that that actually can happen. Oh gosh. So, okay, Leonidas at XRP Arcade, he caught over, 3 minutes and 44 seconds of this portion with CNBC hosting Brad Garlinghouse. And I want to play for you the portion where they're talking about the lawsuit and the elephant in the room. All right, so let's just hear what Brad has to say about his feeling on what kind of progress they're having and when we will see some closure on the lawsuit. Okay.
The elephant in the room here, though, is regulation in this sector. And we know Ripple is at the center of this bitter dispute with the SEC. It filed a lawsuit against Ripple back in December, alleging that sales of its XRP token constituted the unregistered sale of a security. Garlinghouse said he's hopeful for a resolution next year, given the implications that this could have for the entire sector. Listen.
We're seeing pretty good progress despite a slow-moving judicial process in the federal courts. Clearly we're seeing good questions asked by the judge, and I think the judge realizes this is not just about Ripple. This will have broader implications, and I think that's a very good thing. I'm hopeful that certainly in 2022 there'll be closure here. But look, I think seeing countries like the UAE provide leadership, I mentioned Japan and Singapore and Switzerland. Ultimately, we need those things on a global basis. And if you look at the macro trend line for crypto regulation globally, you're seeing it's moving very much in a positive direction. That's not to say there are countries like, say, China or India that have at times stepped back and had concerns. But in general, the direction of travel is very positive.
So Ripple has some issues in the home market, which is why it's looking to the Middle East for.
Okay, so that was that portion that was brought to us by Leonidas. It's great. I'm going to put a link to it in the description below. Ron Hammond, formerly with Ripple, now the Director of Government Relations at the Blockchain Association. I want you to mark your calendar for December 8th because several crypto CEOs are going to testify in front of the House Financial Services Committee. That is what Ron has brought us in terms of giving us that heads up and a little bit of detail as to what they're going to talk about. This is going to be a big hearing. They're going to first talk about stable coins. That is a dominant policy issue. Second will be DeFi. Third will be, well, DC has learned that the best way to understand crypto is to go to Twitter, but Twitter is also viewed as vitriolic. And what he means by that is that it's filled with bitter criticism or condescending to the DC audiences. And I guess they're not happy about that. He explains that in this tweet with a couple of different threads here. Well, my response to DC is just buck up, because if you're afraid of being in the public eye, it sounds like you're not fit for the job. If you're confident in what you're doing and you are capable, Twitter should not be an issue at all. The fourth section that they're going to discuss is climate. Fifth will be the use case and really fully functional examples. And then sixth will be covering the issue with gas fees. So I think it's going to be a wow, full of amazing topics to hear really who is on top of their game and who isn't. That is going to be very evident, I'm sure, by the questions and discussion that will follow. This hearing is going to be full of committee people that will probably have a wide range of expertise. That's what Ron said. And talk about someone who's really on his game and leveling up like I don't think anyone else in Congress is doing. That would be Congressman Tom Emmer. He was on Chip and Jeff's channel. They were so lucky to have the congressman from Minnesota. It's a 10 on a 10 discussion that is on their YouTube channel. I'm going to put a link to it in the description below. I clipped just this one portion, but I'll tell you, I had a hard time deciding what to share because it's all so good. But let's listen to this right here.
Of innovation, that as disruptive as it might be, it is going to completely change how people do bargain for exchanges. It's going to completely change how we actually handle transactions with one another. And there's nothing that I believe, and this is going to be taken, I'm sure, with a black mark over at the Fed and others. There's nothing the federal government's going to be able to do at the end of the day, short of what they do in China, which is turn the power off, to stop these entrepreneurs and these creative people that, quite frankly, are here because they're so disgusted, whether they're conscious about it, many of them are, or the others that are not necessarily conscious about it, but they're reacting to it, the horrible monetary policy that this country and others around the world have been engaged in since the early 70s, when we went from a country that built wealth and was proud about building wealth to a country that, by the way, in trading in wealth, to a country that creates debt and now trades debt. And it's like, okay, you wonder why the middle class disappeared or is disappearing? It's your monetary policy, right? In order for you to survive today, you have to get bigger and bigger and bigger because you have to have the assets in order to trade everybody's debt. And guess what? You either get bigger or you fall below. And it's we got to get back to strong monetary policies that recognize that's what we're supposed to be doing. In this market, crypto came about because of this, and it's growing because of this. And I just don't see it going away, guys. It's a $3 trillion market cap. Perhaps our colleagues in the federal government have finally sat up and taken notice and said, oh, I don't think we're going to be able to stop this. We better figure out how to get on board. And their idea of getting on board right now is they think they're the conductor on the train. I got news for you. You're not the conductor.
Ah, I like it. Yeah, he is really getting sharp as attack in this space. All right, I'm jumping to the fluff, and we're going to talk a little bit about, well, localization of coffee and something that they are doing a little bit different in the Nescafe Harajuku Shibuya location. They are always changing it up. They have tried robots, they've tried a jungle of plants. I mean, they always are introducing some new creative enticement to get you to come in and have a cup of coffee. It's funny. I think in America we think of Nescafe as something that is the instant freeze dried style that you might bring with you on a camping trip, right? But in Japan, they try to market this as a really high end coffee. It's interesting the way they do it. And so in the wintertime, yep, right now they're going to start this campaign that will serve your coffee in ice. But to keep you warm, they are going to provide these kotatsu tables. This has been so popular in Japan for centuries, all the way back to the 14th century. They used to burn coal underneath, but now they are with an electric heater, and those electric heaters are brought out about this time of year, and they are really fun for the family. It is warm and cozy underneath with this big, what they call a futon, and then the heater underneath just is just incredible. And all the way back, this is a print, an ukiyo-e woodblock print from the mid 1700s. It has been a favorite for both cats and dogs. Yeah, the cats love to get underneath these tables. And if you're lucky enough, if you go up north, you can find a lot of the izakayas, or the pub style food eatery places will also bring out the kotatsu during the winter time. It is really great. And the Hoshino resorts, they just do it like no other. This, of course, is out near one of the 5 lakes in Yamanashi Prefecture, and they have a resort that you can sit and look at a wintertime view outside of Mount Fuji underneath the cozy kotatsu. And in Atami in the summer, they really go over the top. Look at this, a real, genuine cherry blossom tree that is showering over your kotatsu table, overlooking the water. Wow. That's pretty something. And this winter campaign, they have created something fun where they do a kotatsu, and it is a squid table. Yeah, definitely being marketed for families. I think it's very, very cute. Again, really creative. All right, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye bye.